Yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Kean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank all three of our witnesses for being here with us today and for the important work that they do. As the chairman of the Subcommittee on Europe for the 118th Congress, I share Chairman McCall's sentiments that while military, humanitarian, and budgetary support for Ukraine is crucial as they are embroiled in this conflict, we must have oversight. Like the chairman, I believe that we do not conduct this oversight with the intent to undermine or to question the importance of this funding to support Ukraine. In fact, it's just the opposite. We intend for our oversight efforts to incentivize this administration and our Ukrainian partners to use these funds with the highest degree of effectiveness and efficiency. Congress has appropriated over $113 billion to respond to Russia's war in Ukraine, and the American people deserve to know how the substantial sum of taxpayer dollars is being spent. I cannot overstate how important transparency and accountability are for the support to continue. I am the first official function that I held as chair of the Europe Subcommittee was a briefing by state and the USAID for members of the subcommittee, and it was a briefing on the oversight efforts and direct budgetary support for Ukraine. To echo my opening statement from that event, to your knowledge, that as the three principal inspector generals, have the departments and the agencies that you oversee cooperated in good faith in your oversight efforts?
Yes, from USAID's perspective, yes.
True also for State Department.
And for the Department of Defense, yes, absolutely.
And they have responded in a timely fashion to your request for information. And what about the Ukrainian government officials?
Yes to all of those questions.
Yes.
The same.
Okay. To all the, I'm encouraged to hear there have been no significant cases of corruption involving U.S. assistance to date. However, I also wanted to make sure that the U.S. is ready to respond in case any instances of corruption were to be exposed. To all the witnesses before us today, what roles do the investigative branches of your offices have in the oversight efforts, and are they ready to respond to reports of waste, fraud, or abuse involving U.S. assistance, and what would that response look like?
So I can start just speaking about the Department of Defense Inspector General. We have the Defense Criminal Investigative Service, which has decades of experience investigating cases in wartime situations all around the world. We have agents who are forward deployed in the region, who have robust relationships with people in country and people, law enforcement and others around the world that we're able to leverage to do those investigations. As we receive allegations, we look into them, and we'll take whatever investigative steps are necessary, and we'll determine what the results are.
Thank you.
From USAID's perspective, I would echo all of those things and say further that our investigators are used to working in non-permissive environments and where there might not be direct jurisdiction for the U.S. government. So when we have jurisdiction, we'll pursue every criminal, civil, and administrative remedy possible, and those are not mutually exclusive of each other. We can pursue several at the same time. Our office has creatively used suspension and debarment of UN officials this past year for officials that we don't have jurisdiction of, we can't arrest ourselves, but we can use suspension and debarment as a tool to keep these bad actors from showing up in other UN programs or other NGOs. Additionally, we will work with local government and prosecutorial bodies within the government of Ukraine where we can. And previous work that we had in this area, we coordinated with the government of Ukraine and extradited somebody who had committed fraud against USAID programs, not a Ukrainian, but they were in Ukraine, and we successfully worked with them to extradite them to the United States and prosecute them successfully here. So our office has this experience, and we are ready to do it if allegations of fraud come in.
Thank you. Ms. Shaw?
And I'll echo everything that my colleagues have said, and just note that we are being both proactive and reactive. So short answer to your question is yes, we are absolutely ready, and that's where some of the relationships that we're beginning to forge with Ukrainian officials and law enforcement and prosecutorial entities will be so important, because there are some bad actors that we may not be able to reach on our own. But we're also being very proactive, and that's important to get out ahead of issues. We don't want to just clean up messes. We'd like to try to keep them from happening if at all possible. And so the fraud awareness that we're doing now is going to be critically important to that, making sure that people understand how to report fraud. So all of those things are already happening and really position us very well to act when the time comes.
Thank you to all three of the witnesses here today. I yield back my time.
Gentleman yield.